It was just a second. Not even that. A flicker, a glitch in the world, a frame out of sync, and yet it changed everything. You weren't supposed to be there. You weren't supposed to turn your head at that exact moment or hear the sound that pulled you back when you were about to leave. But something made you look, something made you stay, and that was the mistake. It wasn't a crime in the usual sense. Not blood, not violence, but it was worse. Because what you saw, what you truly saw, couldn't be filed into a neat, explainable category. It wasn't illegal. It was impossible. You stood still for a moment too long, trying to convince yourself it was nothing, a trick of the light, a misunderstanding. Your brain fumbled, rushing to build a lie fast enough to protect you. But it couldn't, because part of you already knew the truth. You had just crossed an invisible threshold. The world still looked the same, but it wasn't. Not really. The people walking by, the cars, the buildings, all of them looked real. But they had shifted slightly, as if the angle you were seeing them from was not the one you were supposed to. As if you were watching something you were never meant to observe. There's a term for it: cognitive rupture. When your perception tears in two, one part clings to normality. The other watches the crack grow. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. That's what no one tells you. There was no safety net for that moment. No way back. You saw something you shouldn't have. You don't know who was in that room. You don't know what that symbol meant. You don't know why that file had your name on it. But it did. And now they know you know. You start feeling it at night first. The lights outside your window. The hum of electricity when everything else is quiet. The strange way people seem to be watching you just a second too long. And it's not paranoia, because you're not making it up. You wish you were, but you're not. And now, every time you blink, you half expect to wake up in a different version of reality. One where you didn't see. One where your life still belonged to you. But it doesn't anymore. Because the moment you saw behind the curtain, they started watching back. The first days pass in silence. No one mentions what you saw. No one knocks at your door. No black cars, no cryptic warnings. And for a moment, you think it's fine. Maybe it was just a coincidence. Maybe it meant nothing. But then it starts. Small things. Your phone battery draining too fast. Voicemails that don't play. Emails disappearing after you read them. Your location history showing places you've never been. You tell yourself it's just a glitch. Just tech being tech. But you feel it, don't you? That weight in your chest when you wake up in the middle of the night, knowing without proof that someone's been in your apartment, not to steal, not to hurt, but to remind you that they can. You look in the mirror, trying to find the crack where your old self used to live, but you don't recognize the eyes staring back. They look like yours, but quieter, less sure, more aware. Something's shifted inside you. It's not fear, exactly. It's exposure, as if you've been peeled, layer by layer, until everything that used to protect you, denial, doubt, logic, has been stripped away. People still talk to you, but they feel like cardboard, like characters reading from a script. You smile, you nod, but inside you're screaming into a void that never echoes. Because how do you explain that you saw something no one else saw? How do you say, I think I broke something in the world, just by looking too closely? They wouldn't understand. They'd call it anxiety, stress, sleep deprivation, and you'd nod, pretend they're right. Because if you admit the truth, even once, you become a target in full view, and you're already being watched. Not by people necessarily, but by something else, patterns. That's what unnerves you the most. You start noticing patterns where none should exist. The same man on the train, the same red car outside your building, the same sentence repeated by different people days apart. It's not obvious, but it's intentional. It's not a threat. It's a warning. You walk slower now. Double check every lock, Turn off your phone and leave it in the sink while you shower, because you're not sure what the rules are anymore, only that they exist, and you broke one by accident. Or maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe something wanted you to see, to test you, to see how much your mind could handle before it shattered. And the worst part, it's working, because you haven't slept properly in weeks, not since the dream. That dream, the one where the walls of your room folded in, where the sound of your own breath came from somewhere outside your body, where someone whispered something you didn't understand, but woke up knowing. You write it down every time. The phrase changes, the language changes, but the message doesn't. You were not supposed to see this, and yet you did. And the longer you live with that knowledge, the more the seams of reality begin to unravel. You thought it would be dramatic, a chase, a confrontation, but that's not how they work. They don't erase you. They let you erase yourself, bit by bit, until the only thing left in your head is the moment you looked, and the voice that says, you can never unsee it. You try to function, you wake up, brush your teeth, go to work, smile when you're supposed to, answer emails, pay bills. But none of it feels like it's happening to you. You're watching yourself from somewhere behind your own eyes, as if someone else is taking the wheel. You're not even sure what day it is anymore. Not really. Time bends when your thoughts don't belong to you. You used to love music. Now, every song sounds like static. You used to read to relax. Now, every word seems to carry a double meaning. You used to sleep. Now you lie in bed for hours, facing the wall, feeling like something is watching you from just behind your skull, not in the room. In your mind, you stopped telling people about the things that were happening because they stopped reacting, stopped caring, or maybe they were never real in the first place. And that's what's eating you alive. Not fear, not paranoia, but doubt. Maybe this was all a hallucination. Maybe you're having a breakdown. Maybe there was no moment. Maybe you never saw anything at all. Maybe you just imagined the whole thing because you needed it to mean something. But then you open your laptop one night, and there it is, a file you didn't create, a document, blank except for 5 words. You should have looked away. You delete it instantly. But you know it's too late. Something out there is playing with you, and not just watching responding. Your thoughts aren't private anymore. You think something in silence, and you see signs of it the next day, on your phone, on the street, in the exact sentence someone says to you over coffee. They know where you are in your mind. And the more you try to run, the more the world starts to turn to noise. You forget names, places, how to drive home, sometimes even who you are for a second too long. People look at you strange, as if they sense something's broken behind your eyes. And they're not wrong, because the worst part isn't what's happening outside. It's what's happening inside. You're starting to lose pieces of yourself. You'll laugh then forget why. You'll cry then forget who hurt you. You'll look in the mirror and think, I've seen that face before, but I don't think it's mine. You're not being erased. You're being rewritten. And it's not a fast process. It's slow, surgical, intentional. They want you to keep walking, keep functioning, keep playing your part. But with every step, a little more of you vanishes. You feel it, don't you? The empty space inside you growing, where memories should be, where meaning should live. You're becoming hollow, not in a sad way, in a designed way, because the people who control what you saw, they don't need to kill you. They just need you to forget yourself, and you're starting to help them do it. You forget how this started. You forget what you saw. You forget why you were ever afraid. And then you forget to care. It starts with your name. You hear it out loud, but it doesn't feel like yours anymore. It feels assigned, as if it was something given to you by a system that needed to identify your shell. You answer to it, but only because you've been trained to, not because you believe it means you. Then it spreads. You forget birthdays. You forget why you ever loved certain people. You look at your own handwriting and think, did I really write that? You lose track of how many days have passed since you saw your own reflection and felt human. And still you walk. Still you talk. Still you reply to messages, smile in photos, pay your rent. But deep inside, the person doing all of that is no longer you. The memories you still have, they feel like things you watched in a film. Your emotions, delayed, mismatched, inappropriate. Someone tells you they're hurting and you want to feel compassion, but all you feel is static. Someone touches your arm and your skin doesn't register it. You just stare at the spot, wondering if it really happened. And dreams, they're the worst. Because when you sleep, you remember what it was like to be whole. You wake up crying, not because of a nightmare, but because you are real in the dream, and then morning comes, and you're just a character again, a puppet with fading strings. You move, but you don't decide. You speak, but something else chooses your words. And maybe it's always been like this. Maybe free will was just a story you told yourself to cope with the scripts written long before you were born. But now you see it. Now you feel it. The illusion is gone. And worse, you've stopped resisting. You're letting it happen because you're tired. Tired of running from invisible watchers. Tired of screaming inside a soundproof head. So you let them erase you. One smile at a time. One false memory at a time. One quiet surrender at a time. You don't even remember what you saw anymore. You just remember that it mattered. And that's enough for them to keep watching you. You wonder if they've done this to others. If there are people around you, friends, strangers, who are just as hollow. If that barista who never blinks, or that coworker who repeats the same phrase every week, were also witnesses, and also punished. You want to ask them, you want to scream, I saw it too, but you don't, because you don't trust your voice, because it might not be your voice anymore. One day, you get a message. No sender, no metadata, just a sentence. You lasted longer than we expected. You stare at it and feel nothing. No fear, no rage, not even surprise. You delete it, you go for a walk, you pass people. You nod, you smile. You are a ghost now, not dead, just absent. And yet, deep in the quiet, behind the layers they tried to scrape clean, a single thought survives. You were real once. And maybe, just maybe, if you remember that long enough, they won't win. You stop checking the date. At first, it was a form of defiance. You didn't want their version of time. Now, it's just because every day feels the same. Every hallway you walk through leads to a room you've already entered. Every conversation you try to start has already happened in another voice, another place, another version of you. There's a strange rhythm to your life now. You wake up in the same spot, eat the same food, wear the same clothes. Even your thoughts are recycled. Replays of emotions you no longer truly feel, but perform out of muscle memory. You begin to wonder, what if they didn't just erase part of you? What if they left you looping, forever trapped in the final frame of who you used to be? You catch yourself saying things you don't remember learning. Technical words, procedural phrases, terms that sound like they belong in classified documents, but they come out of your mouth like nursery rhymes. And then the dreams start shifting. No longer memories of the past. Now, they feel like blueprints. Blueprints for actions you don't understand, but your hands perform them anyway. You pick up a pen and sketch unfamiliar symbols. Your fingers type in patterns, sequences, codes, names. You snap out of it and delete them in a panic, but the next morning, they're back. written in the margins of your notebooks, on post-its stuck to your mirror, etched into the steam on your bathroom window. Then come the voices, but not loud, not dramatic. They whisper in the space between your thoughts, just beneath your hearing, where logic can't reach, telling you where to go, when to sleep, what to avoid. And one night, they tell you something new. You're not the only one. That sentence infects you. It burns itself into your brain. You see it on license plates, in the arrangement of books, in scrambled radio noise. You begin to search for others, not openly, never openly, but with glances, with subtle questions, with pauses in elevators where you hold eye contact too long, hoping someone else will recognize the question you're not allowed to ask. No one answers, but you start seeing the signs. A man with the same vacant stare, a woman touching her temple every 7 seconds, a child drawing spirals on the bus window even after her mother scolds her. They're scattered, silent, hollow, functioning, just like you. So you keep going, because you can't stop, because stopping would mean looking directly at the truth, and you're afraid your mind won't survive it. You live between realities now. In one, you're an adult with a job and an apartment. In the other, you're something that was rewritten, reprogrammed, repurposed. Sometimes, in the silence of your apartment, you speak out loud, just to hear if your voice is still yours. Sometimes, you cover every mirror, because the thing inside them isn't looking at you. It's looking through you, waiting. And late at night, when the static in your ears aligns with the ringing in your bones, you remember that thing you saw, that moment that broke your world. It didn't just happen. It was shown to you, on purpose, and you were chosen not to forget, but to carry it, to keep it dormant, to be the quiet vault that holds the thing no one else was strong enough to survive. But here's the part they didn't plan for. You're still here, and they don't know what happens next, when someone carries the forbidden truth longer than anyone else ever did.